Hi, this is Vrinda. A few days ago, the American Vice President narrated an anecdote. He told of this one time when Donald Trump, who was in a meeting with some international leaders, was quite unhappy with the way the meeting was progressing, and he reaches out and presses a red button. Vance thinks that it's the nuclear button, and Trump himself tells Vance that it is the nuclear button. But in fact, it is the Diet Coke button, because somebody walks in with a can of Diet Coke and gives it to Trump. Vance narrated this story as a joke, as a funny incident that happened, and the audience responded in a similar way by clapping and erupting into laughter. But pay attention to what is happening here. The sitting vice president of a country is joking about a nuclear attack. The sitting vice president of the United States of America, the only country in history that has dropped an atomic bomb on another country. Over the last few months, and particularly during the last few weeks, the possibility and the threat of a nuclear attack, of a nuclear fallout, has increased manyfold in the context of the Middle East conflict. America's attack on Iran was done simply to prevent the possibility of Iran coming into possession of nuclear weapons. The same America arms and equips Israel to bomb Gaza in a measure that has now been likened to the atomic bombs in Hiroshima and Nagasaki multiple times. It's been said that the total number of bombs that have been dropped on Gaza they are 6 times the power of the atomic bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. So on the one hand, the US works to ensure that Iran does not come in possession of nuclear weapons, and on the other hand, the same US equips Israel with bombs that are 6 times the magnitude of the bomb that the US itself dropped on Hiroshima. And all of this is obviously taking place in the middle of allegations that Israel is already a nuclear state, but that it just refuses to admit it. In Chicago, there is a doomsday clock, a symbolic clock. This clock measures the time that we are left with before all of mankind is hit by apocalypse. This clock was set up in 1947 by a group of scientists in response to the nuclear attack that the US did on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Originally, the clock only took into account nuclear attacks and the possibility of nuclear warfare. But over the last few decades, it has begun to include risks like climate change and other dangerous technologies as they've come up. Now, the scientists who handle that clock have forwarded the clock. We are now closer than ever before to a total apocalypse. We are only 89 seconds away from midnight. At midnight, the world will symbolically be in a state of apocalypse. It might seem like a stretch, but if you look around you, you will see that the conversation around a nuclear attack, the possibility of nuclear warfare has become far more normalized than it was a few years ago. When you scroll your social media, at least I have come across multiple reels which are telling me on tips and tricks to survive a nuclear attack. They tell you what to do, how to save yourself, how many days you should be inside the room, go to a basement, wash yourself, throw those clothes away which you were wearing at the time of the attack. These are the ways in which we are being prepared. We are being normalized towards the possibility of a nuclear attack, the worst possible attack that humanity has ever seen and that has been committed on a group of people in Japan. Last year, for the Nobel Peace Prize, the group that was considered and was finally awarded the prize was a Japanese coalition, a confederation of the survivors of the atomic bomb from Hiroshima and Nagasaki and their families. This group was awarded because of the work that they had done towards the a non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. 1 year later, we are standing in a world where the Vice President of the United States of America is joking about a nuclear attack. Experts of diplomacy, of warfare, of weaponry are talking about how North Korea was prudent, was smart to have built the atomic bomb because it saves it from the kind of attack that the US has done on Iran. We are told about how the smart millionaires and billionaires of the world have built nuclear undergrounds and bunkers that will save them in the face, in the possibility of a nuclear attack. But are we talking about stopping an attack on people, on living beings that has been compared to 6 atomic bombs? No. Israel continues to bomb, to pillage Gaza and reduce it and flatten it, all the while committing war crimes that have been condemned by the highest courts of this world. The history of nuclear science is closely tied to the future and security of all of humanity. Some of the greatest minds of nuclear science gave up the proliferation of arms, of nuclear arms in their lifetime, and instead advocated for the peaceful use of nuclear energies. Today we are standing probably the closest we have ever been to the possibility of a nuclear attack. Think of the world that this is. Armless civilians, innocent people wiped off from the face of the earth at the drop of a pen, at the click of a red button. Is this the world that you wanted to live in? This is Vrinda.